Hey everybody, welcome to another review with yours truly, R. Adrianus. We're finally getting down to that review with about Perks of Being a Wallflower by Steven Chbosky. God, I can't remember. I can't pronounce his name. If anyone knows how to pronounce his name properly, please make sure to let me know. But yeah, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And also, I remember mentioning to you guys that I wanted to do a review about the film. Unfortunately, I haven't done so. I haven't been able to watch it yet. Haven't gotten my hands on a copy. But better yet, we will be doing a review today about The Hunger Games: Catching Fire, the new film that just came out, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson playing the main characters. So yeah, we'll do that later. We're gonna do Perks of Being a Wallflower right now. So let's just get right into it. Perks of Being a Wallflower. It's a coming of age young adult novel about this young boy named Charlie who's going to have his first year in high school. In high school, he meets two friends, Sam and Patrick, and they become his best friends throughout the experiences he has in this first year. They're seniors, whereas he's a freshman, so he kind of learns a lot from them, kind of the ropes of the social environment that he has to travel through. And it's an interesting story. I myself am not really that big of a fan of young adult novels that much. I I do try to keep an open mind, and with this book, I'm glad that I did. As a young adult novel, this book does really stand out. I can kind of see why people enjoy it, and they really sing its praises because it's not really that silly of a young adult novel. Because a lot of young adult literature might have kind of odd themes and a little bit melodramatic, hard to swallow. But this one, it's very grounded. It goes over that awkwardness of one's high school years, one's adolescence, and that's captured perfectly through Charlie, the main character, because we see that he's having issues reconciling his world, his own reaction to this world. He doesn't know how to go about it. He's very shy. He remains introverted when it comes to cases when he should actually expound and contribute to whatever's going on. But he's very clammed up, and there's kind of like an underlying reason for that. But we'll get to that later. Um, the characters around him are your typical characters. There's no fancy paint for them. They're very realistic, I think. One of the criticisms that I did read about this book was that it was received negatively for its portrayal of young adults, teenagers experimenting with drugs, alcohol, things like that, cigarettes constantly, even though smoking is less of a taboo, I would suppose, but I mean, that's up for discussion. But yeah, it shows teenagers, in and when they're at high school, and then also, after school hours, partaking in all these different substances. And I don't want to say that that concept is unrealistic. Unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. That's the world where kids sometimes will get into those sort of things, and you can't help it. You parents kind of wish that they were around to monitor what's going on with these kids, but realistically, The Perks of Being a Wallflower does does kind of drop the gauntlet and be like, you know what, this is what happens. This happens behind your back, and I think that's why oftentimes it's not received well by adults. But hey, the rest of the audiences, young adult readers, they seem to enjoy it, and I can see why. It speaks very much to the growth of a human being during this time. And then also the narrative itself is written in letter form, so it's an array of letters. It keeps the flow going very well, so pacing is done very in a very dynamic fashion. Character development as well. You don't see bells and whistles when it comes to what happens to these characters. There is romance, there is heartbreak, there is psychological issues to be addressed with certain characters, but it's not going to be, like I mentioned, there's very little melodrama to the point where it makes you want to vomit. There's only so much drama where you see it and like, yeah, you know what, that probably has happened to someone at one point or another. So yeah, like I mentioned, grounded is the key word. And ultimately, Charlie actually goes through this revelation at the very end of the book, which I will not reveal for those who have not read it or at least seen the film. But this revelation kind of puts everything together for the reader and also for Charlie, because he's the one who has to go through this. And experience, I guess, this incident that's happened to him in the past, and it's implied throughout the book, this instance, this kind of life-shaping event. So I will let you, as the readers, discover that for yourselves. But it was a good book. I would definitely recommend Stephen Chbosky's. Oh, I think I got it right, Chbosky. Stephen Chbosky's The Perks of Being a Wallflower. It is a very good book. Genre or not, whatever the however way you want to engage it, it is a young adult novel, but it's still very good. So there you go, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. So let's move on. Um, Hunger Games: Catching Fire, the new movie that just came out. Obviously, I don't have a copy of the movie to like show like dun 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 or something like in the background. That'd be amazing, right? The production value. But no, I did get the opportunity to see Catching Fire recently, and just quick side, Catching Fire in the series is my favorite story-wise. I really enjoy the characters that are introduced in the second book, and I really enjoy the concept of sparked revolution, and that's one of the main themes throughout the book. It's revolution that's in its adolescence. And then the film. Okay, so we have Catching Fire, 1 year release since The Hunger Games, which was last year. Still starring Jennifer Lawrence in the main character role of Katniss Everdeen, with Josh Hutcherson playing Peeta Mellark. I'm sure everybody knows because it's all over television and all of the fans rave about it. But the Hunger Games. We have this country full of 12 districts. They take kids from these districts and they put them into a fight to the death, and whoever reigns victorious gets to live and have riches for the rest of their lives. And it's a symbolic sacrifice for the rebellion that took place several years before. And that's what the nation. That's why the nation has the Hunger Games. So in this book, the Hunger Games that Katniss has already participated in have finished, and she thinks that life will be fine. She can kind of continue on despite there's still people still living under the jackboot of the nation Panem, which is what it's called. Lo and behold, the nation is about to have what they call a quarter quell. It is a Hunger Games that is held every 25 years. So the last year's was the 74th. This year's is the 75th. And for their quarter quell, what they decide to do is that they want to bring all the previous victors back for the Hunger Games. So they're not going to be picking out children. They're going to be picking out from the previous victors. So these are all people who have won the Hunger Games. So that goes to show kind of how dangerous these Hunger Games are going to be, and then also how heartbreaking they would be, because many of these victors, they were content with their lives. They didn't expect that they would be brought back. And yeah, that's the plot of the book and the film. It hasn't really changed fundamentally for that. And one of the things that I did enjoy about Catching Fire is that they didn't stray very much from the core material, which was good. And it wasn't one of those double-edged swords where when they don't stray, they lack originality. One of the things that I've always liked about the production of the Hunger Games from the first book that I saw, they did really well, is that they made it very compelling, even if you may already know what the end of the story might be. It still captures you. It still makes you want to watch, and it goes the same for Catching Fire. Catching Fire is very compelling. The characters were casted very well, especially for the role of Finnick, who's a fan favorite by many. He's from the fishing district, and he becomes one of Katniss's allies during the Hunger Games. Personal favorites for me were Beatty, who is one of the victors from several years before, and he actually went on to become an inventor and contributed a lot of different developmental things for Panem. So all these different devices that they use, these different mechanical luxuries that they use, those were all made by him. And so he's obviously the brains, and he's a very powerful force to be reckoned with. And he allies himself with Katniss. And so you have these really cool characters, a lot more rounded than the previous book slash film, because in the first story, in the first film, all you have are the kids. And yes, it is tragic because these kids are being meant to fight each other. But in this one, you have people who have grown, people who have seen the light of day, and they've also seen the darkness that has been casted from this light, and it's a very good film. Like I mentioned, the casting, I think did it spot on for each of the characters, with the exception of Katniss, which has been one of my major gripes for the series so far, and it will not change because I mean, it's not that long of a series. But as much as I do love Jennifer Lawrence as an actress, I think she's an amazing actress. I think that she's just a little old for the role of Katniss. I've always imagined Katniss being younger, but the thing is that they pushed back the casting. They wanted to make her 18 ish. So Jennifer Lawrence does fit it if you go by those rules, but I guess that's just me, my little issue. But no, Jennifer Lawrence still does a great job as Katniss, despite her what we might say an age disadvantage, I guess, because she is older. Josh Hutcherson does an excellent Peeta Mellark for the second time around. I had some issues with him in the first film, but you definitely see him having accepted and embraced the character a lot better in this film. Uh, Resolution wise, it's very dramatic. We many of the readers of the second book already know how it ends, and they don't change it. And they still make it so that you don't lose any of the impact from the ending, because it is a film and you do know what's coming, but you still want to feel it, and it has to be conveyed on the screen. And the screenwriting for this was very well done. Cinematography was very well done, and it's very intense and menacing on all accounts. So Catching Fire was an excellent movie. It was an excellent experience for those who enjoyed the book. I doubt they will be disappointed, and if they are, it would be for the slightest thing. So they'd have to really look for something they would dislike. But if not, just go there, enjoy it. And even for people who aren't really that knowledgeable on the series, haven't been exposed to it, I would still say that you would enjoy it to the utmost extent. So go out there, go watch the movie. It's really great. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed these reviews, and we'll be doing other sit downs this week and another review. I want to do some comic book stuff coming up. I know I mentioned that it's going to be on the horizon this past week, and it still is, so we'll be getting to that later. But until then, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace and love.